Welcome back. Today, we're jumping into a really powerful chapter from Rich Dad, Poor Dad that's going to flip everything you think you know about taxes right on its head. It really challenges the whole idea of who is actually paying the biggest price.
So let's just start with a really provocative question, okay? What if this whole concept of tax the rich, this idea that we hear all the time, what if it's not what it seems? What if it's kind of a myth?
Most of us grew up with this modern-day Robin Hood story. The idea that income taxes were created to take from the rich and, well, level the playing field. It's a nice thought, but the real history, it tells a very, very different story.
And here it is. It's the classic bait and switch. At first, income tax was sold to the public as this temporary thing, something only for the wealthy. But you know what happens, right? Once the government got a taste for that revenue, its appetite just grew and grew. And that tax net, it got cast wider and wider, eventually pulling in the middle class and the poor. Yep, the exact people who voted for it in the first place.
So this shift in history basically created two completely different realities when it comes to taxes. And it's not about finding some secret loophole, it's about the fundamental structure of how money flows. And it's this structure that creates a huge divide between the rich and, well, everyone else.
For most of us, this sequence is probably going to look pretty familiar. It's simple and honestly a little painful. First, you earn your money, then, bam, taxes get taken out right away, often before you even touch it, and only then do you get to spend what's left over. Sound about right?
But here's the game changer. The rich, they're playing by a completely different set of rules, and it's all perfectly legal. They use corporations to flip that sequence around. See, the corporation earns the money first. Then it spends on everything it needs, all its business expenses. And only after all of that does it pay taxes on whatever's left.
Now, when you put these two models side by side, the difference is just wow. It's so stark. One group pays taxes first, the other pays them last. This incredibly simple, structural difference in the order of things, this is one of the biggest secrets to how the wealthy legally protect their money and make it grow.
So you're probably wondering, what's this magic tool that makes it all possible? It's not some crazy, complicated thing only Wall Street knows about. It's the corporation. And really understanding what a corporation is, that's the key that unlocks this entire strategy.
Let's just break this down and make it simple. A corporation isn't a big glass building or a huge team of people. At its very core, it's just a legal entity. Think of it like a file folder full of documents. That's it. It creates a legal shield that separates your business from you personally, and, this is the crucial part, it lets you play by that spend first, tax later rulebook. Okay, but just having a corporation isn't the whole story. You got to know how to use it, right? And that's where what Robert Kiyosaki calls financial IQ comes in. It's a type of intelligence that's built on 4 key pillars of knowledge.
And here they are, the 4 pillars: accounting, investing, understanding markets, and the law. Now, according to Kiyosaki, these aren't just some boring subjects from business school. They are the absolute essentials of financial intelligence. If you can master these, you can move from working for your money to having your money work for you. Let's dig into each one real quick.
First up is accounting. You've got to think of this as the language of money. It's not just for the number crunchers. It's the skill of being able to look at a financial statement and see the real story of a business, its strengths, its weaknesses, all without any of the fluffy sales pitches. Next, we've got investing. This is the more creative part, you could say. It's the science and the art, really, of putting your money into assets that make more money. We're talking real estate, stocks, businesses, anything where the goal is to make your money work harder for you than you work for it. Pillar number 3 is all about understanding the market. I mean, think about it. You could have the greatest product in the world or the most genius investment idea, but if you don't get the basic forces of supply and demand, what people actually want and what they're willing to pay for, you're just not going to succeed. And finally, the 4th pillar that ties it all together, the law. This is about knowing how to use those corporate structures we talked about to get huge tax advantages and to legally protect your assets from things like lawsuits. This piece, this legal know-how, is what makes this entire strategy actually work in the real world.
So as we start to wrap this up, the main message is pretty clear, right? Getting control of your finances isn't just about trying to get a bigger paycheck. It's about getting the right knowledge so you can control where your money actually goes, especially when it comes to taxes.
All right, let's do a super quick recap of the big ideas here. First, that whole tax the rich plan, it backfired, and the middle class ended up with the bill.
Second, the rich have a different cash flow sequence: earn, spend, then tax. Third, the corporation is the legal tool they use to do it. And finally, you need financial IQ, accounting, investing, markets, and law, to actually know how to use that tool.
This quote from the book just says it all, doesn't it? Knowledge is power. Money is great. It gives you power. But you need the right knowledge to actually keep that money and to make it grow.
And that really just leaves us with one last thing to think about. Now that you've seen that there are two totally different sets of financial rules out there, which set are you playing by right now? And maybe more importantly, which set do you want to be playing by?